girl, hey. This is Victoria Parker, and this is episode 8 of Girl Talk. And I have two girls that are near and dear to my heart. And we were going to talk about just being moms in America of little black boys. I have Tammy and Kanesha. Hey, girls.
Hey.
Now, before we get started, I'm going to have you introduce yourselves. Just tell us, a little bit about yourself, where you're from. Tell us about your little black boy, and then we'll go on from there.
Okay, I'm Tammy, and I'm from Southern California, so I'm a Cali native. And my little black boy, his name August. I love him to pieces. Of course I do. He's mine, right? But he's 3 years old, 3.5 years old, and like I said, he's everything. Love me some August.
Me too, girl. I love me some August. My baby loves me some August too. All right, Kanesha.
Okay, I'm Kanesha, and I am originally born and raised in Virginia. I moved to Maryland after I graduated from college. Stayed there for almost 20 years, and then I moved to Southern California, and I've been here for roughly 2017, so it's almost 3 years now. And my little black boy is Kyron Taylor, and he is 11 years old, near and dear to my heart, of course, like Tammy said, because he's mine. But he's my entire world. He's my everything. He's my only child, but he does have an older sibling. So him being the only boy in our family makes a huge difference considering what's going on right now.
Absolutely. And just for the sake of conversation, I am Victoria Parker once again, and I have two little black boys. I have Jalen, who is 10, and Braylon, who just turned 8. And like all the moms said, I love my boys. They're my heart. They're my breath. And we're going to talk about that and what that looks like for us as mothers raising little black boys. But before we do that, before we get all to the nitty gritty, let's show our bling. So today we decided to dress up for you in the midst of us being in the shutdown. We have some bling on. So show your bling, bling, bling.
Bling, 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 bling.
This my baby's bling. He made this at school. He said it was for mommy, so I thought
yes, that's like kind of carnival. Yes.
Now look I want to talk about this one though. So you said okay, wear your accessory. I said okay, I'm gonna wear a fun accessory, and I was like, I can't find anything that I really want to wear, but I'm gonna wear. And I saw this one. I said, oh, I'm gonna put this on. So ask me why I have this piece.
Why do you have that piece?
I saw Jocelyn Hernandez, shout out to the Puerto Rican princess, on Loving Hip Hop Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And I said, that's really cute. It's very minimalist. Well, I kind of try to be sometimes. And I saw it and I said, I'm going to get that just so I can have a look like Jocelina. So.
Well, there you have it. She's the trendsetter.
Yeah.
Go, Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
All right, I love that. So, okay, so let's just get into it. First, before we do that, how are you ladies doing? How are you? I know we just hung out on Sunday. We got the kids together on Sunday at the park, but how are you?
Well, I definitely, along with the rest of the world, have been going through several emotions, up and down. Sometimes feeling a little hopeless because we've all seen this before. But I will say, seeing the protesters and seeing the outpour from the media and everyone basically standing with us to say that what's going on and what happened was not right, it does give me a sense of hope. And then with the announcement today, with the charges being moved up from 3rd degree to 2nd degree, just gave me a little bit of sense of hope. It did give me a sense of, our voices were heard. But at the same time, I know we still have a lot of work to do. Yeah. And so my feelings are, I don't want everyone to say, this is it, this is the end. Like, we still have to keep that same momentum going And what I mean by that is not only voting in March, but
let's see your shirt. Let's see your shirt.
right, we need to stroll to the polls because it is a serious matter.
Yes.
Definitely so. So, you know, I feel a little bit of woohoo, you know, our voices are heard, but we still got a long ways to go and a lot of work still needs to be done.
Absolutely. What about you, Tammy? How you feeling?
You know, sometimes I think I know how I'm feeling and then it switches.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's bouncing back from just sadness to anger to frustration. I was on a phone call this morning, a meeting at work, and I was one of two Black people on the line. There was about 20 people on the line, and my immediate boss is really awesome. She addressed, you know, the elephant in the room, because we do work with children, and we work with a lot of Black children that we service through Child and Family Services. And so we, you know, she acknowledged that there is something there. She's, you know, she cried on the line, and she was just lost, and I was lost too. So really, sometimes it could be a little uncomfortable to be in those situations, especially when you are there. It's not amongst, you know, other Black people. And so sometimes I'm a little conflicted on how to feel in those situations or how to respond in those situations. But I did thank her for the acknowledgement, because I think that's a huge issue, us acknowledging the feelings, acknowledging what's taking place. But then it quickly switched because of some comments that someone made. And the comment was made is that it couldn't have come at a worse time, as if it just happened. And, you know, we just need to stay positive, and we need to tell the children to stay positive. And so for me, as a Black woman, as a Black mother of Black children, of my own Black son, but also the children that I serve, I'm not gonna say I took offense to that, but it didn't sit well with me. And so I did articulate that, you know, right now our kids are feeling, and a lot of us as adults are feeling unheard, like Kanesha said, we frustrated, upset, and it's coming out in so many different ways. It's coming out in, you know, the looting, the rioting, and all of the, like people are angry. Young people are angry. You know, older American, like Black Americans, were angry, and that's to be acknowledged. There's trauma there, and the response behind that was also troubling, and that's what made me grow angry, because the comment was that, well, we don't want to inflict our bias on the children. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Inflict what bias on the children? It's, you just, you know, we're acknowledging their feelings. We are saying we need to hear them. We need to hear the cries of the people who are suffering from the inflictions. But, and it's just really confusing. And even I think as I articulate this, it's confusing because, you know, I just feel that some people are saying like, no, we need change, we need to listen, we need to be positive. But then when you do start speaking, and if you're doing so civilly, it does go unheard. And so I was like, frustrated today. That conversation was frustrating. Don't sit in a conversation and say, hey, I understand, I'm standing with, I feel empathy, and then turn around and say, be positive. And don't be biased.
Well, because at the end of the day, if the situation is not a positive situation, why spin it to make it positive? Let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about what the situation is. And then the growth that hopefully comes from that will be positive. But you can't make an ugly situation pretty when it's ugly.
Right. And it makes it, and it's so difficult for all of us to make, it's uncomfortable for everyone. And I acknowledge even their discomfort and even addressing it. So I understand that. And that's why I say I'm a little confused about how I feel. I can't say I feel any one way.
That's fair. That's fair, because it's a confusing situation. And actually that'll lead me into the next thing I wanted to discuss, in that we just had a mental health awareness workshop that we did last week that we all took a part in. And with Hey Girl Hey, one of my missions and one of my mottos for women is to encourage them to tend to their self-care and to acknowledge their feelings and acknowledge their needs and what they need at that moment, right? Whatever it is, any stressors, and that's kind of a message that I've driven home in the 6 months or so that I've been in business, is just really just self-care is first. Mm-hmm. When we talk about being mothers, and we talk about being mothers of Black boys, especially at this time, and one of the concepts that came up in our mental health awareness workshop was the Superwoman schema, and the Black woman basically having to suit up. And I feel like I felt for the last 7 days or so that I needed to suit up, right? Mm-hmm. Because I have a husband that's Black, I have boys that are Black, I have friends who have boys that are Black, I have, and so I felt the need to suit up, right, and to protect and to step outside of myself now and make sure that they are safe and do whatever I need to do to make sure that they have what they need. So am I alone in this, or is this something that you felt too of? Let's talk about that for a little bit, the suit up.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I had to suit up because it's all on the news. Mm-hmm. Even when my son was watching a YouTube show, when how they'll do the autoplay, it'll show something that has to do with what's going on. So it's right. Almost inevitable that he hears and sees what's going on. And I definitely felt like I needed to not so much shield him from it, but explain it to him in a manner where he would understand it, because you and I both know that the news is going to explain it one way. Even on social media, they'll explain it one way. But I felt like I needed to explain the history behind it first so that he could really understand where that anger is coming from. Because I'll share this with you all. This is not new to him. I've had the conversation with him back in 2017 when this happened. And I knew then that I needed to start suiting up and having that conversation, because he brought it to my attention before I was able to bring it to his. And I was kind of taken off guard behind that because I wasn't prepared for that conversation. But when you see on the news that it's happening time and time again, the first thing my son said was, "Mommy, why do they keep killing guys that are the same color as me? I thought the police were supposed to protect me." And now this was back in 2017 when he saw.
So he was what, 8 years old? Same age as my son, right?
Mm-hmm. So, it's been kind of hard having the conversation with him, but I definitely felt it was needed, and I needed to have that with him to protect him because of the area that we're in. It's not that many Black. We have browns, but we don't have that many Black. And so it'll be easy for him to be in a situation where it'll be a group of his friends and he may very well be the only Black person.
Black kid, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Tammy?
Mine is a little bit of a different paradigm. I feel like when I became a mom, well, let me just backtrack. Even before I became a mom, I've always kind of been a tough cookie.
Yeah, we know.
So, and I used to always say as a young girl, one of my biggest fears was not being able to bear my own child. That used to really scare me. And with that said, motherhood was something that I definitely wanted. And it was something that I was definitely aspiring to. And when God granted me the opportunity to mother August, things shifted. My fear shifted, obviously, because not being able to be a mother was no longer a fear, but I wasn't expecting this paradigm shift. But my fear was, okay, what happens if somebody does something to this little boy? because I know who I am and I know how I am, I'm very protective of and loyal to everybody that I love. And for me to love this little person, it almost makes me cry. For me to love this little person so much, what do I do, or how would I personally handle somebody hurting him? Immediately as an infant, what happened? The suit came on. So I feel like I've been wearing it all day, every day as a mom, because especially as he started to leave home and go to school and I had to trust him with other people, it's like, okay, what do I do if something happens to, you know, like God forbid, because I can't, at that point, I can't say what I'm going to do.
Right.
So that's a huge thing for me. So my suit, it's something that I wear, and I have to ask my question, when do I take it off? So I have to give myself permission to take it off at times. So there are times where I say, okay, step back, and I let him go. Cause I'm so protective of August. I don't even really let him go too many places. And so I'll say, okay, all right, Tammy, take your suit off. Let somebody else have it. Let you hand him the suit.
You like it on Sunday.
Huh?
You like it on Sunday. You were like, I'm gonna leave August. And then you kept turning around as you were walking.
Yeah. She's like, is it okay? Are you okay with it?
It's okay.
It's a hard thing for me, but y'all must know I love and trust you, because I left my heart right there.
You sure did.
I mean that when I say that, you know, like that's my heart. And so, like I said, I'm prepared to wear the suit for the rest of my days until there's no breath in my body. And I think the real question for me is, all right, Tammy, when are you going to give yourself permission to unsuit? Take your break, but you got to jump back in it when it's over.
Well, that's what Hey Girl is here for, to help you with that. but also, I know for me personally, and you guys can tell me if you did the same thing. So when I found out that I was pregnant and I found out that I was having a boy, kind of like you said, well, when you said there was a paradigm shift for you when you found out you were pregnant, but for me, it was specifically when I found out that I was having a boy. So much anxiety overtook my heart, and I was not excited about it at all. For one, because the men in my family have had it hard, from addiction to incarceration to, there's just been a history of just things that have just really plagued my family. And so for me personally, I was like, I don't want to bring a little boy into that, you know, that generational pattern or curse or whatever you want to call it. And then, so what I did is because I was like having a hard time getting excited, like I had legit already picked out these little ruby red slippers at Babies R Us for my daughter, because I just knew I was having a girl, right? And so, so I went back to Babies R Us, and I went shopping. And I found some little boy stuff, and I wasn't as excited, but I was like, maybe if I just buy some blue stuff, like it'll help me, you know. Yeah. It didn't work. Yeah. But I told someone, I can't remember who it was. That's so funny now I'm thinking about it. I remember telling someone that I told them I was having a boy, and I'm like, but I'm having a hard time with it, you know, and I feel bad because I'm not overjoyed, you know. And they said, pray about it. And I was like, okay. Like simple, right? But okay, so I prayed about it. And like God put it on my spirit so heavy that this little boy is going to change this world. This little boy is going to make this world a better place for everyone, right? And so, which is part of the reason why his middle name is Josiah, because if you know in the Bible, King Josiah, he was a revolutionary. So anyhow, so from that point on, I was like, God, give me whatever I need to make this little boy be who you need him to be, right? And so I got lost in him, just trying to nurture him and just be everything, and just like praying over him and covering him and just really just trying to be everything, when I realize now that I don't have to be everything, right? I have a village, I have God, I have a husband, you know, I have everybody be everything for him. But for me, it was a lot of anxiety that came about being a little boy, because I'm like, I want everybody to see him how I see him. Mm-hmm. And this week has been hard for me because I'm realizing, once again, I knew that I had him in 2012. So you already know like what was going on in 2012 with Trayvon Martin. So I had a reminder again this week that everybody's not going to see him like I see him, right? Everyone's not going to see his greatness. And even for my son, Jalen, as you all know, is my bonus baby, but I've raised him since he was a baby too. So there's so much, I don't want to say fear, because I'm not going to let fear be what it is, but there's so much uncertainty about, as much as I prepare him, right, as much as I feed into him, as much as I expose him to, what does that really mean for him? Does that make any sense? How do you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because I think about that all the time. It's, you can raise your child to be a great person, a law-abiding citizen, but who's to say he could just get pulled over and say one thing to tick somebody off, and he could be a kid that's never had a ticket, never gotten any trouble, straight A student, and he just happened to be going 5 miles over the speed limit and automatically step out of the car. I believe you may be carrying drugs.
And the thing about it, my boys are going to be big. My husband's 6'6". My 7-year-old is, our 8-year-old is already, up here. So they're going to be big boys.
Yeah.
And if you think about Trayvon, if you think about George Floyd, if you think about all the men who were and women that were mourning right now, they never looked to see who they were. They never checked their character. They never checked their family background before they took their last breath. They didn't. That wasn't an issue. So it plagues me to think that, as much as we give and as much as we're bringing to that, what does that really mean for them when we send them out of our doors?
Right. Having that stereotype. And also having that conversation with him about being stereotyped. I also have the conversation with him about not stereotyping all of the police, because I don't want him to feel like as soon as he gets pulled over, that cop is going to automatically stereotype him. So, I want him to grow up also not having that fear that every single time he's going to get pulled over, or every single time he does have an encounter with a police officer, that it's going to be a bad one. So I just really want to instill in him to have that mentality, so that if he's in that situation, he's not automatically defensive. Because I feel like that's a huge problem on both sides of the fence. We just automatically, I've been in that situation. I'm automatically will become defensive and have my guard up just because of what has happened to others that are Black and brown.
That's true. Obviously everything that we're dealing with now has a lot to do with the police, but as an educator, one of the things that I constantly struggle with, even now with August being only 3 years old, is his education. And some of the things that are happening, even systemically within the education system, that kind of feeds into what, Black men are experiencing, or all of, just African Americans, women, children, we're all experiencing when it comes to police. I had a situation happen. I'm not sure if I shared it with you both, with August in school. And I arrived to pick him up at school one evening after work. And the teacher was walking him and all the classmates to another location. And so at the time she just, said, "All right, well, here's August." And then she handed me a piece of paper. She said, "This is for you." And I said, "Oh, okay, thanks." And as I'm checking them out, I'm reading the paper, and it was a write-up. And I read it, I looked at it, I'm like, "This is a write-up?" And it said that August had spit and kicked the teacher. And immediately, I know August, and don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those moms that think my baby can do no wrong. Like, I'm not that. But especially as a teacher myself, I know August, though. He did not spit and kick anybody. So that, I just said, you know what? But I just need to know what happened. So I read the teacher's name on it, and I walked over to the teacher who wrote him up. And she was Caucasian. She was really young. And I asked her and I said, hey, what happened in the situation? And she said, yeah, he kicked me. He spit at me and he kicked me. And I said, well, can you kind of recant to me, what took place? And she said, well, he wasn't laying down for his nap. So I picked him up and put him in the bed. Now, I don't know about you, because you guys have sons that are older than me. I don't pick up August and put him in the bed. He puts himself to bed. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm thinking, so you put your hands on him and you got kicked in the process. And she says, well, yeah. And I didn't, and I said, well, is it deliberate? She was like, no, I think he was just like moving around. I said, well, I'd be moving around too if somebody that I barely know was picking me up. Because the other piece is this, she's only the lunch and nap teacher. So he's not with her all day. So he didn't even know her. And he had only been in the school for like 3 weeks. So with that being said, they had this long write-up with consequence, as if August had done something really bad. And I immediately just realized, it hit me, this is the beginning of a paper trail.
This is where it starts. Absolutely. This is where it starts.
Mm-hmm. And I went off. I didn't go off in a way that was, unprofessional. I know how to go off professionally, and that's what took place. And I had to really explain to the school director, first of all, I'm not the average parent, so let's start there. They talked about, well, he's having issues at lunchtime. He wants to show off his food. He's not laying down. Okay, well, at what point was that articulated to me? So it's all of these things happening, and you hadn't even communicated any of that to me. Mm-hmm. And so as Black moms, especially the mothers of Black sons, it's incumbent upon us to be very, very engaged in the education system when it comes to our kids, because I feel that, they are treated differently. And I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it with August in this situation, but I've been a teacher for 15 years and I've taught every grade level, 6th through 12th grade. I see what Black boys go through. I've experienced, and they've really been a part of my cause in education is covering Black boys. So it's so apropos that God gave me one of my own. Mm-hmm. But we have to cover them from the womb to the grave.
Absolutely. And I know one of the hot words for me, a hot button for me, like if you want to take me there when it comes to my sons, but any little Black boys, call them aggressive. And I've had that happen when Braylon was 3 years old, and he's displaying aggressive behaviors. And I said, well, what is he doing? Oh, he's like jumping in front of the kids, and he's like, and then he's running, he wants to be the first to go out the door and the first to come in. Okay, so I said, for what I hear is he's competitive.
Yes.
He's a leader.
Yep.
He's a 3-year-old boy with a lot of energy. That's all I heard. I didn't hear any aggression.
Right.
And yes, and I noticed this when Braylon was younger too, and you guys can tell me too. When he was younger, like walking into daycare, I would see moms like holding their sons, walking in, mm-hmm. and whereas as soon as he could walk, we held hands, we walked into the room, mm-hmm. Or when I gave him that opportunity to be independent and to just assert his identity, right? And I'm right here, baby. I'm always gonna be right here. But you can go and you can walk and you can, and where I'm not gonna hold you unless you want to be held, and so I think that's something that's different too, is the upbringing. But part of that too, I believe, is because we know what they're walking into, right? So we have to arm them with the confidence to. That's it. Even just as simple as walking into the room on your own. We have to prepare them for that. We don't get the luxury of being able to coddle our 3-year-old boys.
Oh no, by far no, and it impacts how they live their lives as adults.
Oh, absolutely.
Part of their life is so critical. So we have to be super vigilant about how they're being educated, what the content of that education is. That's a whole different story. Jesus.
Right. Okay, so let's look into the future. What are you,
go ahead.
As a mom, try not to cry. If you do, it's okay. What are you most excited to see your baby do?
What am I most excited to see him do? Meaning now or in the future?
In the future, or just his life in general. Like, what do you want? If you could leave him a message and say, this is what I want for you, what would it be?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I am excited and looking forward to my son being able to express himself and be who I know he is genuinely meant to be. I feel that my son has a leadership personality. We talk about zodiac signs. My son is a Leo, and he is a true lion. And when I say leader of the pack, he is a leader of the pack. I see it with his friends. I see how they just love him so much and how he's able to just really lead the pack. I see it on the playground, etc. I just want to see him flourish into that, whether it be a leadership in as a professor or in a political position, but really carrying out what I know he's capable of doing. And I know he's only capable of doing that, but so much, but actually seeing that flourish as he gets older.
I like that. That's beautiful.
When you asked that question, I knew exactly what I was gonna say, because I just had this thought, and yes, I was crying after I had it because it was so beautiful. I might shed a tear now. Have you guys picked up that I'm super sensitive?
What? That's why you're so hardcore. You know, the hardest people are the softest inside.
You know, the moment I look forward to is being at August's wedding.
Aww. Jaden.
Arranged marriage.
All for arranged marriages. Let's make it happen.
August's wedding.
Let's keep out the crazy.
Right. Right. But I was watching, I don't know if you guys watched Married in 90 Days on Netflix.
Oh, your 90-day fiance thing?
No, not 90. It's Married in 90 Days, I think. Oh, if you have not watched that, oh gosh, you have to watch it. It's like where experts set up.
Married at First Sight. Yes, I've seen that. Yes. Uh-huh.
I done fused together 2 different shows. Married at First Sight.
Yes, yes. Because the last season they're in DC.
Oh, no, are you sure? Because I think the one is season 9. They were in Charlotte. I think that's the one. I've only watched 1 season.
Okay. Maybe
oh, girl.
Yeah, you put me on.
This is girl talk for real. Like, we done got sidebar and everything. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and catch up to other ones. But yeah, I was watching that, and it made me think. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm raising somebody's husband and father.
Oh.
And
Ooh.
I know I will have done my job in the moment when I'm having a first dance with my son.
Girl.
Life has his first dance, and I look at him, and he can have his mother son dance. But when he has that dance with his wife, I'll know I've done pretty much a job. I'm sure she'll need my help a little bit here and there, but I know that I have fully raised him, and I hope that in that moment, and I know that I'm going to be so proud of the man that he's become, and I look forward to that moment with him.
Oh, that's good. Girl, that made me tear up a little bit. That's good, yes. Shoot. And I think I already know the answer to this first one, but I'm not going to assert my opinion on you. So, this or that, diamonds or pearls?
Pearls. Silly.
Kanesha, what'd you say?
Pearls.
Oh, of course, pearls, because pretty girls wear what? All right, so next, this or that, flats or heels?
Heels.
Heels.
I'm struggling to say that as the 4-0 is coming close.
Right. I might have to practice after the city opens up again, because I feel like it's been so long since I've been in some heels.
Oh, flats are comfy, but yeah, heels.
Do some heel workouts.
She said, nope, I'm wearing heels.
I'm just gonna walk to the mailbox in my heels. I'm gonna just get full dress and walk to the mailbox. Okay, next, this or that. You ready?
Okay.
Beach house or log cabin?
Ooh, beach house.
Beach house. Oh, y'all said that like nothing.
That's easy.
That's the California girls in y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, because I haven't decided yet. I want both.
Okay.
Like I want a log cabin in Big Bear and a beach house on Laguna.
Listen, and you're gonna have both of them.
Claim it.
I know that I received that.
Abundant.
Or I might go to Pismo. I don't know. Pismo's my favorite beach right now. I don't know. Okay.
You know what? You gonna get it whatever you want. You gonna create that.
I know that's right.
But I'll tell you this, the God, like I'm gonna create my abundance too. I'm getting married in a beach house.
Yes! In my beach house!
If
So I have to get it sooner than later.
Yeah, I needed to open right up to the beach. Yeah, that's where I'm getting married. Y'all coming, right?
Yes. Girl, it's gonna be in my house.
Right, that's right.
What, I got like a year and a half?
Listen, you might need to hurry up and get it. I'm just saying.
That's right. Look, we received that, Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
Okay, this is like the age-old separation of black folk. We're gonna let the world in on this real quick. Y'all might already know. Your grits. Butter and sugar, salt and pepper, or cheese?
Salt. I do salt and pepper, and I'll do this with salt and pepper and some cheese. I will never put any sugar in my bread.
Oh.
Yeah, I do it all salt, pepper, butter, but no sugar.
That's my girl. Look at.
No. I'm butter and sugar all day, girl. Don't put I don't want no savory grits.
What?
No.
This is up my palate. I already got salty things going on probably on my plate. I don't need that messing with my palate.
I don't want no savory grits. I don't. See, this is
I'm like, girl, now I look at you different now.